vehicle, and this was key. He stated, "I drive a waste management tractor," and following initial interview, he left the area on foot. We had no reason to really detain him at that point. So following their contact with Gene, deputies shifted their focus to the red tractor associated with him. They observed a dried reddish substance consistent with blood on the vehicle's exterior, including the passenger side door and exterior side step, as well as a significant amount of blood inside the cab. Based on these observations and the potential for life-threatening emergency, deputies conducted an exit search of the vehicle's cab. While the search was being conducted, Gene was observed nearby and made comments regarding the deputy's search of the vehicle, asking them if they needed permission to conduct such a search. As the investigation progressed, deputies and detective corporals linked the tractor to Gene and focused on locating him due to multiple unanswered questions. He was located at the pilot tractor stop on State Road 70, where he initially ignored commands and resisted detention. He was eventually detained and transported to the sheriff's office for further questioning, and throughout this questioning he was uncooperative and refused to provide clarification regarding the circumstances that led to the vehicle being abandoned along the roadway. So some of the forensic evidence and evidence findings that we had is on January 16th, our crime scene investigators tested the reddish substance on the exterior side step of the red tractor trailer, and it tested positive for human hemoglobin. Deputies canvassed the area near South Rock Road and recovered a Palmetto State Armory PA-15 rifle, a Springfield Hellcat handgun, and handgun magazines matching the Springfield handgun as well. The firearms and magazines were located near a canal and appear to have been intentionally placed there. During this investigation, it was confirmed that Gene was also the owner and operator of the tractor trailer that was found abandoned. So our victim information, deputies executed a search warrant on the 2020 Freightliner tractor trailer. Inside a storage compartment beneath the bed area in the back, deputies located a deceased adult male identified as Wendy Monsione, 32, of Coconut Creek, Florida. The medical examiner conducted an autopsy on January 17, 2026, determined the cause of death to be a single gunshot wound to the back of the head, and ruling the manner of death as homicide. Our investigators later learned that Mr. Monsione had been traveling from Georgia to Florida with Mr. Gene, as Gene reportedly expressed safety concerns to family members about sleeping in his truck during stops along the route to Florida. His last contact with family, Mr. Moncione's, was on January 15, 2025 at approximately 6:40 p.m., after which he has been unaccounted for. So on January 17, 2026, Detective Corporals with the Criminal Investigations Division arrested Olson Gene as a result of this investigation. He's been charged right now with first-degree murder with a firearm, tampering with evidence, as well as obstruction with justice without violence. He remains incarcerated at our jail with no bond, and a $50,000 bond for the tampering charges. No bond for the first-degree murder charge, $50,000 bond for the tampering with evidence charge, and a $500 bond for obstruction. So with that, I just want to make it clear, thank you again to our citizen for the See Something, Say Something, reporting this without their calling this in. We were never led to this investigation, and I'm just thankful we were able to make an arrest in this case thanks to the work of our detectives. And with that, I will answer any questions anybody has about this case.
Sheriff, how did the two meet?
They're related. They are cousins, from what we understand from the suspect's wife. Yes, sir.
Why were they traveling from Florida to Georgia?
From Georgia to Florida. So our suspect was afraid, basically, according to the wife, basically has been kind of paranoid lately, acting kind of erratically. She expressed the fact that when he returned from Florida, they were going to look to maybe get some mental health treatment for him. So we believe Mr. Monsione and his cousin flew up to Georgia, or traveled to Georgia, with the intent of accompanying back here to just basically keep him company. And for whatever reason, he decided to kill our victim.
Yeah, that kind of leads into my next question. Do we know a motive yet? Is that still under investigation?
It's still under investigation as of right now. We do not know the motive right now.
When exactly was he murdered then?
Sometime after the 15th at 6:40 p.m. That's the last time his family had contact with him.
And I know forensics, they were checking the bed in the truck. What was kind of the smoking gun connecting, the suspect to the victim? Anything?
Well, the suspect with the victim, they were family members. He lied initially about owning the truck. We later determined the truck came back to an LLC, contacted the LLC, the owner of that business. He leases that truck to our suspect. So that was a bold-faced lie. The fact that, he had nothing to do with the truck. Blood all over, the scene there, his erratic behavior. There's still a lot more investigation to do, especially with the firearms we found near the scene there. It looked like they were placed near that canal. We want to do some testing on those to see if one of those guns was in fact used in the murder.
Has the body of Monsignor been found at this time?
The body of Monsignor was in the back of the back of underneath the sleeper bed. Our deputies just did a cursory search for just exigent circumstances, just to make sure there wasn't an immediate threat. I mean, without a search warrant, they really had no, probable cause to go in there and just lift up the bed and do a full search in there.
So I'm sorry, maybe you said, but when did Gene and the victim, I guess, leave from Georgia, come to Florida?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's just before the 15th. I don't know the exact date.
Was there like a tractor, like a, like where the hauling part on the back of the semi, or had they dropped that off, or do you know?
I do not know. It wasn't part of the crime scene, from what I understand.
Sheriff, is it believed that Gene shot him inside of the tractor trailer?
Based on the amount of blood, it's possible. We're just still more investigation to do, though, in this case.
Was the body found first with a gunshot, and that's what precipitated the search for the guns?
We were doing a search for the whole area, just for all types of articles and things like that. We did it at night. We did it in the morning as well as a follow-up. But obviously, after the search warrant was done, we found the body and, conferred with the medical examiner's office. We started putting two and two together.
And just confirm, I know you touched on this, the blood found inside the vehicle, was that Monsanto's blood?
There's more testing to be done in that, but we are quite certain that it is, yes.
Roughly, how far away were the firearms from the
I don't know.
semi-truck?
It was near the canal. I'm not exactly sure. I'll find out for you, though.
Do you think the place of death was inside the truck? Or in the cab? I mean, where?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just maybe describe where the body was found again?
Sure. So,
People who are not familiar.
sure, tractor trailers, the front cab area where the driver sits. Usually there's a bigger area behind where the driver sits and the passenger sits. It's like a sleeping area. So a lot of times at truck stops, different things like that, they'll take breaks, they'll sleep. So there's a bed back there, and underneath that bed, that's where the body was stored and found.
And the deputies found that body that night that
After-
a citizen called 911?
No, the next day after a search warrant was executed on it. Correct.
Initially, you guys released a surveillance picture of him at a business. What's that relationship to the case?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. I'm gonna know.
I think it's in the pilot.
Yeah, when this first
pilot.
came out, they gave us a picture of the truck, and they gave us a picture of the suspect, but he was like walking into a door. It was not
Yeah, I'd
like
have to
a
look.
shot.
I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm not sure.
Last thing for me, Sheriff,
Yeah.
was just, did you guys recover the suspect's clothing? Do you believe he showered after the shooting? Was there any blood found on the suspect himself?
I'm sure the detectives are looking into all that, and whatever was found is going to be tested. And there's more work. There's a lot more work to be done on this case, for sure.
You mentioned that Gene hadn't been seen for like almost a year, basically. Is that right? Excuse me. Correction. The victim of the homicide hadn't been seen for about a year prior to this.
No, that's not correct. That's not what I'm understanding.
The concerned citizen, was that someone at Pilot, or was that someone living along Rock Road?
That was someone just driving by.
Just
Saw
driving
that.
by.
Yeah.
Does he have a criminal history, the suspect?
I believe he does. I don't know exactly what it is, though.
Just talk about your officer's determination, your detectives. I mean, it sounds like you guys were out there for quite a while trying to put pieces together.
Sure. So, I mean, we use accurate, timely intelligence in all we do. We like to analyze as much information as we can based on reports, based on evidence. We like to use effective tactics and rapid deployment of our resources, but most importantly, what I just can't stress enough about our crime reduction strategy is relentless follow-up. I don't care how small the tip is. I don't care how little, if a credit card gets stolen out of a vehicle and gets used down in Boynton Beach at a gas station, we're going to go to Boynton Beach to see if we get any video of that card being used. That's what's going to make us successful. It's following a process. It's just being relentless with all the information we get. That's the standard we have here. That's what they do. They had a very busy week this past week, and my hat's off to them. They've been shorthanded for a while. with manpower as we're going through our reorganization. But you know what? It's all hands on deck when something like this goes down. And we got to make sure we're just doing the very best we can do in treating people how we want to be treated. And if that was our family member that was involved in something like this, that's what really we want to strive for, that level of excellence. Yeah.
And going off that, Sheriff, you talked about the importance of that citizen alert. If you
Yes.
could just touch on that again, if, without that call, what could possibly let up, just kind of the importance of that call.
So, we have 800, team members here at the Sheriff's Office that work hard to keep our community safe, sworn and civilian, and that's obviously not nearly enough to, provide law enforcement and safety for 390,000 residents here. So our community is our extra eyes and ears, and that's why it's so important that we focus on building relationships with our community, building legitimacy in what we do, doing things with integrity so they trust us. When they call us, we're not going to blow things off. We're going to do things the right way. And I just think it's a testament to the job the deputies do day in and day out here, our civilians do day in and day out here, building that trust. We ask people, we hit on this all the time. If you see something suspicious, please call us. And I say this all the time when I go to homeowners meetings and things like that, because people always say to me, what's the non-emergency number that I can call for something that's not an emergency? We don't really operate that way. It doesn't matter if it's an emergency or non-emergency. 911 is the number you call. They will determine whether or not it's going to be, what type of tier it's going to be from a response level. Obviously, if it's not an emergency, it might not get to it in the next 5 to 10 minutes. But I say, you're never bothering us by calling 911. This is what we go to all that training for. This is what we signed up to do, to serve people, help people overcome the challenges they're facing, solve their problems. You're never bothering us. This is what we do, is what we live to do. So I encourage anybody, if they see something suspicious out there, please call us. And that led to this investigation, that led to this outcome, and I'm just thankful for that person today for doing that. So, all right. I'm going to shift gears now and go into our second case. That was a high-profile case over the weekend. This will provide an update regarding a shooting incident in the 3600 block of Avenue R in Fort Pierce. And the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate the shooting that occurred on January 18th, 2026 in the 3600 block of Avenue R in Fort Pierce. On January 18, 2026, at approximately 1:15 p.m., deputies from the Patrol Operations Bureau responded to reports of a shooting at the location. Upon arrival, deputies immediately secured the scene, rendered aid to the victims, and coordinated medical care with the St. Lucie County Fire District. At that time, 4 individuals had sustained gunshot wounds and were transported to a local hospital for treatment. Our criminal investigation detective corporals assumed responsibility for the investigation, which was in its early stages. So a lot of initial information went out that has since changed. I wanted to clarify a few things. So our preliminary investigation, our early investigative efforts, including victim witness statements, suggested that the incident may have been originated from an attempted online marketplace transaction regarding an iPhone. Investigators initially believed that one individual arrived to complete a transaction and was allegedly ambushed by 3 suspects. Our detective corporals also considered the possibility of a 5th individual being involved based on initial witness and victim accounts. So as the investigation progressed, our crime scene personnel recovered 2 firearms and approximately 30 shell casings at the scene. I mean, this was a full-blown shootout here in broad daylight. Our detectives executed a search warrant the same evening at a residence on the 1900 block of North 37th Street, identified as the location where one of the shooters fled following the incident. 5 rifles and 3 handguns, including one potentially involved in the shooting, were recovered during that search of that residence. Detectives continued to follow up with the victims and witnesses, including those unable to be interviewed immediately due to obviously the medical treatment they were getting. So updated findings on the firearm transaction. This wasn't an iPhone transaction. We believe this to be a firearm transaction. So further investigative interviews and analysis revealed that a total of 6 individuals were involved, not just 4. 3 individuals arrived at the scene in a black Mercedes, and 3 individuals were already present at the location. Investigators have determined, after conducting additional interviews with the subjects involved, the incident arose from a planned firearms transaction coordinated via messaging apps and not a Facebook marketplace transaction as initially reported to detectives. When the 3 occupants of the Mercedes arrived, all 3 exited the vehicle and waited for the seller of the firearm. One occupant unfamiliar with the area initially had difficulty locating the designated meeting point on Avenue Q, and during the communications between the buyer and alleged seller, the seller kept changing the meeting location. Victim and witness accounts indicate that 3 individuals came from the vicinity of a vacant residence on Avenue R, and within moments, the transaction escalated into gunfire. 4 individuals sustained gunshot injuries and were transported to a local hospital for treatment. And our investigators are actively following all leads, collecting evidence, and continue interviewing the parties involved and witnesses. Some interviews remain pending due to obviously the ongoing medical treatment that our victims are getting. And we are still working to confirm the identity of the 6th individual. That person has not been identified yet. Of the 5 participants identified, 1 is 16 years of age, 2 are 17 years of age, and 2 are 18 years of age. Gunshot wounds were sustained by the 16-year-old, 1 17-year-old, and the 2 18-year-olds. Of the 4 individuals shot, 3 were the original occupants of that black Mercedes that came to the location. All this information released remains preliminary and subject to change, obviously, as the investigation continues and we verify the facts that we develop. I just want to point out, as far as community safety and public cooperation, our office obviously prioritizes the safety of the community, encourages anyone with information related to this incident to contact our Criminal Investigation Division at 462-7300. So with that, I will take any questions on this case. It's obviously very convoluted and a little concerning, considering the fact you have people of this age group dealing in illegal firearms transactions. So I'll answer any questions you might have.
So just to review, you're saying that these 3 individuals, I guess most of them teenagers to some extent,
Yeah.
Showed up in the Mercedes, and 3 other individuals sort of came out of this vacant house. There was an escalation of tensions or whatever. Then both sides, for lack of a better term, opened fire.
Correct.
Do you have any idea of roughly how many shooters there were?
We're still trying to determine that. I mean, like I said, we recovered 30 casings at the scene, so this obviously escalated very quickly and very violently. And we're still trying to put that all together. Number one, who were the shooters involved? How did it begin? How did they, in fact, get firearms at this age? That's the most concerning thing to me. We believe, 3 of the people from the Mercedes all go to the same high school. One of the suspects goes to the same high school as well. So they are linked to that, together that way. So we're trying to piece this together. Obviously, there's going to be parents involved. Obviously, 2 of these kids are adults, they're 18. But we got a lot of work to do on this case and putting it all together. So it's like putting a puzzle together here. Yes, ma'am.
2 quick questions. One, can you repeat yourself on the ages of those that were hospitalized?
Yes, ma'am. Just give me a second here. No problem. 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and the 2 18-year-olds.
Got it. And then, second question is it clear for sure that there was actually a plan to exchange a firearm? Was there any reason to believe that this was just a way for them to maybe lure the other ones to the area to have some sort of argument? Or is it for sure the firearm was actually meant to be sold?
So, anytime you're dealing with messaging apps and things like that, when people are changing locations and things, I mean, that should be kind of a red flag. But at that age, you shouldn't be dealing with illegal firearms transactions to begin with. So going into it, I'm not exactly sure it was going to be a clean transaction or what could happen. I think these people are familiar with one another. One of the victims from the Mercedes originally lied about the iPhone, this being a Facebook marketplace. But when that story started falling apart, thanks to the work of our detectives and the work they were doing on scene, his story changed. And so that's got us to this point right now. So we're going to get to the bottom of it. But like I said, I just have some concerns regarding kids that, under 21 having firearms like this and then getting into a full-fledged firefight, in broad daylight is very concerning to me as a sheriff of this county. Yes?
Can you help differentiate who were the sellers, who were the buyers, in terms of who was in the Mercedes, who was in this vacant house?
Yeah.
Do we know?
So we got 2 18-year-olds and a 17-year-old showed up in a Mercedes. I believe they were the buyers. And then the 16-year-old and a 17-year-old, we don't know the age of the 6th person yet. We're working to identify that person. Showed up, basically, and that's when it escalated. So.
And
I believe they're all stable at this point, so not life-threatening. And yes,
And all males, correct?
correct.
Usually we break this down as there's the perpetrators and there's the suspects. How do you guys classify this?
Well, they were basically all doing something illegal, but at the same time, we got to get to the bottom of it to figure out how it escalated. It sounds like it was a rip-off attempt, but I can't say that for sure. I just want to. We've got a lot more work to do on this case. You can imagine a scene like that where you're trying to track evidence, and and then we're executing search warrants at homes, and there's so much work that gets done. I mean, this isn't like TV where the stuff gets solved in an hour's time. This takes a lot of work, a lot of coordination, a lot of documentation, a lot of work with our state attorney's office. So we're going to present all the facts of the case once we get to that point, and hopefully get to a good conclusion. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, if you can just remind us what makes this type of sale illegal and what's most concerning for you? Just again.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's illegal under 21. You can't have firearms, and the fact that obviously they were all in possession of firearms for the fact that we had a firefight with 30 casings out at that scene, and we're trying to put it all together who had what firearms. So kids this age in possessions of firearms, doing with an illegal transaction. These kids are in school. That concerns me, and it's something that we got to be paying attention to as parents, making sure we're monitoring what our kids are doing, and so it's very concerning for me. Yes.
Can you talk about the firearms that were found at the house?
Yeah. So the 16-year-old that was involved in this transaction went back to his residence, and we executed a search warrant there. Let me just find my notes and I'll talk about what was found there. Excuse me for just 1 second. Five rifles, 3 handguns, including one potentially involved in the shooting, were recovered. Now, what made that potentially involved, I'm not sure at this point. That's a lot of firearms pulled out of that residence. I'm not sure exactly who they belong to yet, if they're family members or just to this juvenile.
And 2 firearms kind of recovered outside.
Correct.
At the scene.
At the scene.
So that's like 10 in total, I guess?
Yep.
Sheriff,
Can they be charged as adults?
Hold on a second. Go ahead, man.
Thank you. Of the 3 people who came out of the vacant house, only one of those people lives in the neighborhood?
He lives in the neighborhood there. That's where we did the search warrant. I'm not sure where the other suspect resided, ma'am.
And can you clarify how many people you're still looking for?
We're looking for one other person, we believe, the 6th individual that was involved in this case. We haven't identified that person yet.
And 3 people are still in the hospital.
4.
Where are they? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
it's okay.
where's the 5th person?
5th person was uninjured, so he's not in custody at this time.
So will he be facing any charges? Will any of them be facing any charges?
Once we look at all the facts of the case and present it to the state attorney, they'll have the final call on who's going to be charged and what the charges are going to be.
Should the community be concerned that there's this person who is not behind bars
Sure.
that was involved in this shooting?
I think this was an isolated, targeted incident involving individuals that knew each other. So although it is a very, dramatic scene that was out there, I don't think the community has anything to worry about as far as someone randomly being targeted in the future. But that's why we're going to be, again, just like we are in the other case, relentless with our follow-up, bringing it to a successful conclusion as soon as we can. But we want to make sure we're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, doing everything the right way. And I think we'll have a successful conclusion to this.
Sheriff, last thing for me is, can you just clarify, so right now you've got 30 shell casings at the scene, so it's still unclear who fired first out of
Correct.
this group of 6 people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adrian, do you have something? I'm sorry. Let me just go to Adrian
Can
real
they
quick.
be charged as adults? Or the State Department?
Well, a couple are adults, so we'll have to see what the state attorney's office wants to do, and the other juveniles, that will remain to be seen. Yes.
Do you know what messaging app they were using?
I do not know, ma'am.
You said one of the suspects obviously said it was Facebook Marketplace first.
Yes.
So that's not true.
That part that was a lie. So, okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate you being.